There's still a whole lot of fun to work with. And they stand right there and smile when they talk to you, and it's like,
Well, that same building, the same building that we just got to see about there running off of propane.
that's
a huge
constellation.
No. That's Holland Wrestling there off of Culver Armory.
That should take about one phone call to constellation.
Yeah,
Fire.
right.
But
Right, yeah. No, this is a 3,000 square foot office building.
it's all
Right off propane. Yeah, we had to adapt all the rooftop units to run off Valley Fuel.
same thing you did at Livingston, wasn't it?
Get up there and back.
Not them per se, it was a guy that was married into the family.
I'm just trying to switch this on.
He said some things. It's unlike. I threw out some creative answers that I thought maybe we could get some dragon. So.
Okay. I read them. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, Mr. Director, the front of the financials are in front of you. Your packet is hopefully in order. We put them down last and first, so it's the one on the top left. Two things, I guess. The top has your meeting schedule for next year. We just gave that. So it's still first Friday. It's 9 o'clock. Nothing has changed. So that's one that you can take with you. And then the profit losses should be sitting there on the next. Good on top of the page there. It was a good month for the IDA. We had some fee income for a couple of grants and folks. This is an October, November, by the way, column that we're looking at, and here the date is on the right. Not a lot of expenses there. We had some update of some dues and memberships, a little bit of marketing expense. The LCDC grant is the last installation. That's a $200,000 contract. That last 50 was, we didn't do all of it up front. We kind of threw it up at the end. So that's done for the year. We did have a couple of expenses with Janesville Commerce Park, and I've got an update at the end of the meeting on that one. And on the other side, we had some legal expenses. I'm sorry, professional expenses. Those are related to Janesville Park as well. With the park matters. Overall, good month. Positive cash flow. Balance sheet follows that. We're in good shape. Liquidity is there. Prison closing is moving. So we need the cash flow there. We'll probably tuck some of this away in the next CD so we get some. First. Any questions on the agreement?
Second.
Great, thank you. Local labor policy. So there's a draft of the local labor policy in front of you. Dusted off some of the ones that I've seen and ones that I like and ones that I didn't necessarily care for. And I did take some, what I think, best practices. I like the framework of Monroe County. I like Niagara County and Broome County. The first thing I want to say is that I think Broome County does really, really well, and Onondaga is that they put the local labor policy in fairly good detail in the application. So they require a lot of this right up front. I don't know if Monroe does. I can look at their application, but I really like Broome County. So that would take an amendment to our application. I think I told you I was out scanning around with that the other day. So that's just one thing for food for thought after we get a policy in place that we work up a form so that it's included and we start to get a lot of this stuff up. The first two paragraphs, it's like frankly a lot of legalese. The second paragraph basically says that the local labor policy is applicable to anything construction, which pretty much makes sense. The only thing about that I would question is that I've seen where some define a minimum investment. So whether it's a construction project of over 5 million, say, or 3 million, or 2 million, leaving it empty means that it might get a little tedious with smaller projects. So if you want to look at a minimum investment, I think that's probably a good idea. 5 million was the one that I sort of saw out there the most. And that's probably out is for less than 3 anyway. I mean, every project that's coming is usually 3+. So a minimum is a good idea in my opinion. The middle of the page there is the area defined. That's pretty much just where we've seen kind of labor coming from, just as sort of a general idea, as well as the surrounding counties. The requirement, I've seen everything on local labor requirement from 50 to 100. 100%, quite frankly, to me, is saying there's going to be a labor involved in this process somewhere, unless you're sitting in, say, Erie County or possibly even Monroe County or Onondaga, where the availability of help is there and immediate. So I thought 75% gave us a good kind of in the middle mix. I believe that the bulk of this work gets done when that application comes through, because that's when you're going to make the project think about where's my labor coming from. They may know that already, and whether or not that labor is going to be necessary, or whether they say, I've got to meet this. You're probably not even thinking 75%, but thinking how much local labor can we get. So that's why I've thrown that threshold in there and have some notes to that. So see if I don't want to lose sort of the flow. So if you look at the back page, then you'll see the monitoring. And the way that I want to do the monitoring is that it's not necessarily every project. It's selected projects to audit. And those projects will be chosen either on a random basis or one where we know that we might have some issue with it. And the reason that I endorse this method is because I think it gives us the ability to do this ourselves instead of hiring it out and putting a third party in charge, which is always an option with people, right? If a waiver is required, there are 4 specific reasons that a waiver could be required that I've outlined. One would be a warranty issue. You see this a lot with the racking. Solar companies are telling us the racking has to be warranted and it takes a special, company. If there's a warranty issue with some of those things. If there's specialized construction or an unavailability of the workers with those skills or certifications. 3, if there's a significant cost differential on a bid. And I've seen where policies have identified that cost differential. It's gone from anywhere from 10 to 25%.
Yeah, I think 15 is usually.
15
Yeah.
is where my recommendation would have been.
Yeah.
So I like 15 on that. And then if there's literally no local labor available, and that's obviously got to be something that's proven. We're seeing it with some of the electrical union calls in the city right now. The electricians are hard to come by. So those would be the 4, I would guess, easily waivable reasons. How I'd like to do this is that I'd like to put my discretion on those 4. If they come forward with one of those 4 and we can validate that that's the case, I'd like to be able to grant the waiver as the director. If they can't validate one of those reasons, that's when I'd like to have it come back in front of the board for approval and full rationale. What I'm trying to do here is not bog you down with every waiver and put on one still there, honestly. But if somebody's coming ahead and there's a warranty issue that we can be able to, in the spirit of what the local labor policy is drafted for, we'll be able to act on that immediately. If it's a rational, board decision.
Let's give people the bonus so we can do it this expense and then no demolition. Or another thing would be pay. They're not always available.
Yeah, we have CPU. I mean,
We do have some
There's-
of those
yeah.
accessories around, so.
There's another one.
well, and we're already starting. The reason I think this is good timing, we're already starting to see. We can always tell subs start calling 6 months in advance, asking, "Hey, what's on the docket? Hey, do you have this?" And that's happening right now. So to have something like this in place while our locals aren't watching out-of-state companies come in, I think that's gonna be crucial.
And you know better than anybody how a bid works. I mean, typically somebody's on the phone with you saying, can you do this for X amount of dollars? And I want to be able to respond to that if they want to be able to include you in the bid process. So that's why I'm trying to speed it up with a rational reason. It's the one-off stuff where somebody is just kind of obstinate and says, well, we work with a company out of Oklahoma, like Coast, Coast Professionals did theirs, and that thing went completely sideways. So we work with our contractors out of Oklahoma, so that's just it. Sorry. I'm going back to doing something like that. That would be something that we need to discuss further and say, okay, I can see why that makes sense, or I can see why, or that doesn't make sense. Then it's a board action. If it's a warranty issue or there's no electrical workers in the union hall, stuff like that, I'd like to be able to do.
What are they doing though to prove that they contacted? Because like just coming in and saying, oh, I couldn't find an electrician, like I could give you 4 electricians that would fit it.
Yeah, so that would be in the whole part of the discussion with the labor process. There's got to be a form that I have not made up yet. But who the contact is, who you're working with, and where you're getting that information. So I'd like to talk to the head of the local hall.
Yeah.
They're the first people that are going to tell me, I got workers. So if I'll call BS on the whole thing. That's the case.
Couldn't you just require a statement from the?
I could, yeah, if you think that's the way to go.
Yeah, but we're non-union. So like, that doesn't necessarily cover everybody.
So.
I would want
How would you see?
I would want good faith effort. So like for MDE, WBE, I have to submit that I have contacted 3 local MBEs, like you choose an amount. And then it's literally if they say, no, I'm not gonna bid it, the person writes on the log, they refuse to bid. And I'm not saying we need to then check on those, but at least like you have proof that they're reaching out, right?
Yeah, you would, what I see is either letters or emails back stating.
Yeah, exactly.
We refuse to bid on this, or we're unable to, or here's our bid, and the prices that.
Yeah.
Anything that essentially substantiates.
Yeah.
Or puts in a good due diligence.
And I don't know what the number is, but I think we usually try to do at least 3 per trade.
Fair enough. That part of the labor process is going to be a form. It's going to be something that they fill out and attest to. And I don't have any good waiver forms. I've got policies coming out my ears. I don't have good waiver forms. So, Monroe County's is online, and I did get a look at theirs. It wasn't very
We
specific.
have one for Ontario.
Well, Ontario County, I think they are the best from putting the responsibility on the contractor. Like we no one's going out and checking. Like Comida, we'll have people come out to the site. For OCEDA, they make us just send everything in. So like the auditing thing there would work because you're not going to be checking everyone, but the responsibility falls on the contractor, not Livingston County.
I like it.
Yeah, so. See that, I'll be back to Ontario. My days over there.
That was yours.
Yeah, they, about one question is. On large, very large projects, I believe Ontario requires an independent auditor, and the right to compel an independent auditor to come in. And I think we should put people on notice that if we have a very large project, at least reserve the right to have independent auditor at the company's expense. And I think that's what Ontario does. I know they've gotten pushback on occasion, because I remember sitting in some of those conversations. And the then director, Mike Nepkowski, should have said, I can't change the pounds. So
Yeah.
there is.
I would be against that, Jim, because some of these are gonna some are gonna be, 3,000 square foot, office building, it's not a problem. A medical building that's 45,000 square feet or 50, it's gonna be a little more acre. And they require a lot more
Oh, yeah, I get,
different lines of labor.
oh, no, I get all that. It's just a question of reserving the right for, because,
I'm with you.
because we, it's gonna be to some extent. Our system, so.
Yeah.
And I think on the very, very big projects, one of the reasons that Ontario implemented the right to independent auditors was they ran into a lot of heat because they couldn't keep up on the big projects with whether there was compliance or not. It's just my recollection, it's going back a number of years.
So it's like really low. Jim, is that like really low key, does the independent
Yeah,
auditor?
both of them.
Low key, bro.
Yeah, and
One
it's
of them, I know there's
not,
a-
and it's not automatic. It's just like, all right, we got a project. And in Livingston, I can't envision right away, but you never know.
Well, if you have an Amazon going in, you're gonna want,
Or let's say,
I can't put it in.
Yeah. so I would like to see just the reservation of right for that type of a, you know, and an audit. And it's, so we have somebody that's familiar with the process. Yeah. You know, that would be a thought. Like that, so. But not compel it. Just
Yeah.
Reserve the right under. And maybe if you say, reserve the right for projects above a certain
Yeah.
scale.
well, yeah, cause I wouldn't set the 5 million mark. To me, like, I understand that right nowadays you can't build anything for less than 5 million, but if you look at our local labor pool, they would be bidding on the projects that are 500,000, 250,000. So in my mind, that local labor needs to apply to that as well,
Okay.
because
Well, I wouldn't necessarily endorse the 5 million minimum if we've endorsed the right to be able to enact a third party
Yeah,
at different,
yes.
you know,
I
or
don't
at
know.
a certain scale.
Yeah, I think, you know. But my thought is like, when you're talking about a $500,000 contract project. I can do that, so.
yeah, you wouldn't audit it.
So you don't want to put the policy in so that some other director comes along down the road and says, oh, so we go with classified. But we're trying to look for it.
Right.
To audit it, you know?
I see. So you'd want to set a minimum maybe for the independent audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
but I think the policy should be project by, because generally the smaller projects are going to be relying on. local.
Right, and we have more smaller projects here, like the 2 office buildings, 400,000, 800,000. We just did Kavita for those, and I just would hate to see, you know, people here, contractors here looking for work, the smaller guys, and then,
Would you then put a minimum dollar number there, or would you just say we reserve the right above a certain scale for a fit project?
Yeah, when you're talking about the scale, what conceptually, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
No, I mean-
I just wrote scale, so if you want to put a minimum, I'm okay with a dollar.
I think,
Or if we want to leave it open-ended so that we have the right to come.
I don't want to have a small contractors and stuff.
I agree 100%.
So I think it should be a you know, minimum size project, once a minimum, you know, a large enough project to justify, because I think that's been the practice in Ontario. Just,
yeah, you're not trying to make it harder.
Yeah,
For
I
that.
don't want to put up hospitals here.
but you know, our mission is basically create local jobs.
Yep.
And to ensure the possibility of that under any circumstances is good. The smaller, like I said, I don't think, it's gonna be rare that you find a small project where the labor doesn't come in this broad labor. You know what I mean? There might not be a contractor in Livingston County that handles the project. I'll bet you out of the 10 counties, whatever it is, you'll find somebody. If it's a small enough project, sure, they should still be using local labor, which they automatically would normally, right?
Yeah,
And you don't want to impose you. Arbitrary interpretation of the policy. So I think we can put it to a minimum job size, not only like square footage, but dollar. It's generally dollar. Yeah, dollar amount is going to be decided by.
You still like 5 million?
what's your typical solar farm value?
The small one is 5, 5 megawatt, which is more typical, is probably closer to 10. Small one, 5 was probably 2.8, you know, roughly half.
I would even say like the 2 million, because for 2 million, you could have someone putting up some sort of large office facility.
We rarely see any projects, I'll say the Mendoza line for make break as to whether we have any benefit to offer them at all is climbing. It used to be down around 400,000. It's probably closer to $1 billion.
Yeah.
So I'm not even really involved in anything that really is maybe 800,000 on the low end, but $1 million is really kind of where we would turn and say, I don't know, we got any benefit for you. I'll run the number, but
Yeah.
So two in my estimation is pretty low. We don't see much in the 2 neighborhood. I'm seeing a lot in the 3.5 on the very low. You're gonna see one today, two today, that are roughly in 3 units.
But that I still just reserves the right. That doesn't mean that we're going to, like, oh, you're spending 2 million, then we're gonna audit you.
I mean, we can leave it at 2. It certainly opens us up to be able to do more.
That sounds good.
Okay. What else? Anything else that you're seeing that we have? How about the waiver process? Sorry, with justification, with 3 references, you say that Ontario does that they make you go do some due diligence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that, and I'd love to put it right on the waiver form, so that we know exactly how it was done. And
They'll be so familiar with this too. Like,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's becoming more and more prevalent.
mhm.
And I think if I can steal
Yeah.
the waiver, I'd love to see
Yeah.
if we can work something up from that.
We'll table this to January.
That works. Otherwise, I can take a. Yeah, why don't I write it up so that it's more defined? I'd love to put the waiver with it so that you can see what's involved in that. And then we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
And that might also have the application.
I could, yeah, we could do the application anytime. I like how Bloom County. They just included, where's everything coming from? Who's your plumber? Who's your roofer? Who's, so you see, and they're covering a lot of this. Great, it's just got me to put it all together. With me.
People can go on now, people from New York City.
Good, I'll bring it back. No more suggestions then, I'll bring it back with the waiver and we'll go from there and hopefully put it out for approval on June. Great. Thank you. Yes. Our first project up, Greenway Campground out in Monday. Kind of excited about this project. Chad Bugler is the one that I'm dealing with. He's moving fairly slow on it, but he does have his approvals locally in Monday. Been through the county planning board and got his approvals there. So he's looking to get something started. I put a map here for you to see phase 1A and 1B. Yeah, which on the cover page, you can see where 1A and 1B are. And then, of course, he's got future plans for build out on 2 and 3 in the future. But essentially what he's looking at is all 115 acres for 335 RV sites, 82 tent sites, 56 cabins, stores, gift shops, splash pad, pool area, pickleball, basketball. The village of Monday is working on connecting into the public water system. We've got sand in place to do that. And then since this first started, it was sourced to me. He has since purchased the golf course across the street, Woodland Hills plus Whistling Farmer Pub, and everything that's associated with the events there too. So he's making himself into a little bit of a destination. What you're seeing in front of you is a cost benefit as well. So I ran the numbers on this. Currently, the golf course has been vacant. Honestly, I'm not sure how 2 golf courses in one day ever made it together, but it's right now he's moved some dirt around. Nothing really that I would call an investment yet, but it's on paper. So all the numbers are there on the first page in front of you, along with the current taxes that are generated off of the property, which is assessed at 436. Employees, most of which are part-time. He's actually looking at that over a 3-year period. 2 of them will be full-time kind of camp managers. Rest would be sort of during the day, watching the pool, lifeguards, splash pad folks, cleaning up the sites and things like that. So a lot of part-timers. You turn to the second page, this puts all of the programs side by side. So if there's no project, actually for the got for 10 years there. If there's a pilot, that's what we're looking at. For 5 years, just holds on the land tax, and then the rest of the facility online over the course of the last 5 years. I did assess this for the purposes of comparison of $1.5 million. That's a little high for campgrounds. The ones that I've been seeing, it might come in a little bit closer to $1 million. So I don't know that, I think my pilot number is a little bit high, to tell you the truth. The 485B is something that I've been putting in here because 485B is an exemption that's on right now that company can take advantage of if they're gonna make investments. It would have nothing to do with IDA, it's just a real property tax law abatement, it's already there, so if they took advantage of that, you could see the advantage that would give them. And then if no pilot at all was granted on the 1,500,000, then a little high, but that would be where their taxes would be over the 10-year period. They are seeking a mortgage recording tax, that's how they do their build this, is through a mortgage. Sales tax is largely infrastructure, concrete, some equipment, capital facilities that are prefab, those things, anything that's taxable, those numbers are there. So last stage, that's where most of the expenses would come from the client perspective to the IDA for the benefit, and then what they would receive as benefit, which is a benefit ratio of 8-1. You don't like that number to get too high. 6-1 is a really good number. It's a little bit of a different project, mostly because there's no physical structures really to it. So the benefit is a little bit higher. I like it from the perspective of where it's located to Letchworth. Constantly hear Letchworth campgrounds are sold out. This gives them a great entrance and access to the park. He is talking about some seasonality with it, so Swain could come into play, some ski and stay type things. I know they're a little ways from Swain. And the other thing is that Letchworth does not have sites that will accommodate, from what I'm hearing, accommodate a large RV, a full-size RV. So it's a lot more fifth wheel trailer and cabin and tent. So this would accommodate those. And the use that resolution is in front of you. And if you want to go forward with it, what we'd be looking at is setting the public hearing and listening to what Monday has to say. Yep. I guess I covered it.
That's all we're doing, isn't it? For the event, so.
We've been out to the towns, been accommodating in this.
Towns accommodated it. They have very fast seeker. They've given operation there and he's received his approval for the county because of the proximity to the state highway. County approved it and it's got all its license. And he is where they have public water and sewer. He is going to get public water. Sewer connection was a little bit dicey, although I do see it on the map. I hadn't really kind of figured out. I've been talking to the town about water right, and I know that that's on the block. I haven't heard a sewer conversation yet, but it looked like, yeah, he's got sanitary sewer and a force main down at the very bottom of the property where it all be gravity fed down.
The 335 RV sites, that's just in phase
That's total.
total. Okay.
Yep.
I was trying to.
Yeah, so in the initial phases, the cabins are really kind of phase 1A. Phase 1B are the RV sites. So if you're looking at this one. So I guess I'm probably looking at maybe 75 to 100 there.
Okay.
If you were to get through water and sewer, is the village involved with that?
Yes, and they have been in the conversations. We've had them in the meetings actually. So Jack Morgan, the mayor, has been there. Actually, Mary Lee was in a couple of them with us. They would be looking for water help if we don't have it. Part of a bigger conversation that I'll bring up to speed too on once again, not public.
There's currently no municipal water there right now, you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Where does it come from?
It's gonna come in
Spring.
Homestead Road. Yeah, it's wells right now. And pond. Oh, yeah,
The water front.
Yeah.
They don't get the water from the lake, which
so right now they'd be coming in from Homestead
Yeah.
Road, which is on the very west side of the property.
that would be.
It's a-
Yeah, so this is kind of what Chad does. He's been doing a lot of this for natural gas. Be able to do it. He's already acknowledged that that's going to be an expense to do, and he's willing to do it. He he agrees that the ability to tie in A for a dumping station and B for public water is an attractive thing for the campgrounds.
Yeah.
Public water, up there,
Or no water.
or no water. He's, part of this is coming through his other company. I'm trying to figure out which bank he was working with. I want to say it was Canada National maybe. But he seems to have things in order with what he's been acquiring over there. I don't have it. I did print off just a report where the RV trends are going. Everything's going through the roof. There were a couple of really cool statistics. Over 50% of Americans who camp do so in an RV. Over 35 million have camped in an RV in 2022. Over 35 million new individuals camped in an RV in 2022. Or since 2022, sorry. Plus, have camped for the first time in the past 2 years. And 2022 was the most booked year ever for campgrounds. So it's a trend that's continuing. It's published by KOA, so. But we have heard this difference from several of our consultants that the RV industry is still fine. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Discussion about whether you need to swim.
I would assume so.
He definitely,
Yeah.
if it's over an acre, he's definitely.
Yeah. They're,
Yeah, it'll be 2026.
yeah, I could see that too. But yes, I mean, he's,
So in these conversations, you can do all the thing, install everything, and then dedicate it back to the village or to the town.
up to what he installs up to Halsted Road would be back to the village. Yeah,
And everything outside of that.
anything on his parcel is his own, or his own. Yeah.
If they would go on the property and take a test, if they wanted to do it, zero house test rate. And
Tested the tap where they turn it over to him, and if the quality is there, then they walk away. Yeah, I would tell
well, anything within sight, but along the road.
He'll take it to the road. Yeah. The other thing that's coming into play here is that once again, Nutbutter is struggling with fire protection at their current. They call it the main office, so it's the historical structure right downtown. I think they got a 2-inch line that's coming there, and they can't get enough to feed the sprinkler system that they need. I'm not aware of this, but apparently the food and beverage industry has been kind of a firebug lately, and all the insurance companies are saying, you know, you either have a strong sprinkler system or we're not going to insure you. They've been given a bit of a stay of execution. Their rates are through the roof. I think they went up 17%. So they've got coverage, but not for much longer. So the village has got to do some serious infrastructure work. It's going to come right down 408, where the headquarters are. It's not far from where the storage tank is, but that helps them to figure out how they're going to put it all out to Halsted Road and have the capacities to be able to do it, and the pressures to be able to do it. So it's part of a larger conversation, which is why they're saying, yeah, sure, we'll take more users at this time. We're going to start digging this up anyway. And we've been in those, we're having those conversations about once a month with NCN Nutbutter. Because we've got, there's a webinar on the 5th I've got to watch with some money that's coming out from. It's heavy federal. I'm not sure.
And they look at phone.
Oh, for protection?
Yeah.
That was an act of the federal office of. We speak in alphabets around here. I don't know that. Their answer is no. Got enough capacity in the pressures to be able to do the new buildings, or the new addition. It's that main building that they have, that doesn't have. The building gets it. Another conversation which was coming at the end, but it is tying into the picture of what's going on. A public hearing will allow us to go up and, hear comments. Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. So, probably sit on the, county.
Yeah.
Seconded by the counties.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so that's pretty Tennessee. Okay, Greenway. That's the other neat thing about this is the Greenway goes right through the campground. And so they do have to petition the Greenway in New York State Office of Parks to go under it within water and sewer, but they've already sort of made that groundwork, so to speak, and that's. They didn't do that. I can't understand your. Next one up is Livingston Associates. Livingston Associates can build another airport warehouse on their facility out at 80 West River Road in Scottsville. The building or the project is under Livingston Associates. The tenants are Power and Construction Group, Avon Grid, and Badger. The total project cost is, so I think I've got a cost benefit here for you too.
In addition to what we had already done previously.
So additions are what we've already got.
Okay.
Yes, yep, this is a new one. So on this parcel, in the very front page, first page, you can see what it's generating now from a tax revenue standpoint. $4.3 million project, $3.8 million as far as the hard costs are concerned. It is largely a storage warehouse, however, they are going to put a couple of employees there. They currently have 3 in their houses. They have 55 overall, but at this location, it would be 3 current employees and then add 2 more. On the second page, you're going to look at what the current taxes are at $1,400, what it would be over a 10-year period. Then what the 485 would allow them, and then what no pilot would allow them. But I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. I thought I was a little high maybe on that, but I think this one's pretty close. They're looking for a mortgage recording tax. That's how they're going to finance this building. Sales tax would be on the construction materials. We look at the back page and see what their expenses are associated with some of the IDA and what their benefit is. Supposed to be a 6-to-1 ratio. This one again would be looking to set a public hearing, hear what folks in Caledonia have to say. And more like kind of the same as what they've been doing. Another addition. Any comments or questions? Make a motion to public hearing.
Motion.
Let's move it on to White Creek. White Creek finally came, I think we wore them down, they took yes to, the final offer that we put out there. I've been working closely with Jerry and Dave on this, so the town is very much involved in this process and very much involved in the portion of what we're seeing here. I want to start with the big spreadsheet, if you can read it. I apologize if it's a little small. But this is a breakdown of what we're looking at in terms of what the town of York receives, Leicester, school district, and the county. So in the very last column of everything all involved. It is a $5,000 per megawatt. Down into 2 components, one of which is the pilot at $2,000 per megawatt, and one of which is the host community agreement at $3,000 per megawatt. The host community is split between the town of York and the town of Leicester. The pilot is the taxing piece of it. It goes to both towns, the county, and the school. This where does $5,000 sit in terms of competitiveness? Really proud to say that we're setting with this one. On a utility scale project, 5,000 is high. So I don't know if you're going down, but yeah. So and that's what we were holding out for. They started at 4. So pulling them up to 5 was a big deal. See at the bottom there in the smaller boxes that are colored for you what each jurisdiction would receive over a 25-year period. What I want to stress is that we require solar companies to get a pilot. Why do we do that? Because if we didn't, they could file under real property tax law 487 and not have to pay it. So in this particular case where we put the pilots to the traditional line and give them a little bit of a break to get things going, we do this to get paid. Otherwise, we don't get paid. The exemption is 15 years, right? So they could claim that a real property tax exemption for a period of 15 years if we didn't have a pilot. Okay. Just want to make that clear because this pilot does mean that this is money that's coming in as opposed to not. It straddles the York-Leicester border. Roughly 78.6% of the production is in York. 21.4% of the production is in Leicester. So it is split out that way. It is a pro rata share, so the taxing jurisdictions are going to get what they typically have coming to them as a shareholder in the tax picture. It's a great deal for the school district. I agree. Great deal for York and Leicester. County gets its tax money, which is good. It's going to get more than it had gotten, which is a benefit. And our perspective, I think it's actually things up in the county from where we solar development. There's been a lot of pushback as far as good farmland and being inundated with solar. Answers, we got enough. I can say that.
This is really a farmland that's going on. And it's frustrating.
The harder question to answer on that is that it's also personal property rights.
Yeah.
So, I see both sides, I really do. And this is the last one that we've got hanging out there. Horseshoe's got a very similar deal. I think it's $50 less in the per megawatt number. So we were very happy with where Horseshoe was. And this one coming in just a ratchet higher, I think is also good. In terms of what our responsibilities. No further.
They can increase.
What would increase is if the nameplate capacity increases. So in terms of they come in and say, we picked up another 100 acres, we want to make this 140 megawatts instead of 135, the math ratchets this up. So the nameplate capacity is what drives. I've heard that they want to do some purchasing of a lot of leasing. Yep. They're looking at phase 2. They've got a whole lot of. So they have told us in every single meeting that I have had since when did they show up? 2020, 19. No battery storage, no battery storage, no battery storage. Their application to file that they put into the state said battery storage. They're telling us that we have to put that on there because we can't ever go battery storage were to come along.
Can't go back.
So it's included. They're not intending battery storage. Neither is Horseshoe. Horseshoe, we know is talking about it.
So they enter into most of the both tell you and tell us.
Yes. Yep. Split with the power generation split, Jim. So that's 78.6 and 21 is how that splits a host community.
I mean, fortunately, it doesn't affect my business, but I have to look at it every time I drive down that road, which is ugly.
Well, I don't think it's gonna affect anybody sitting in this room. It'll be my kids that are dealing with the cleanup with an
When they're-
LLC sold to an
when
LLC to an LLC. They have to
And
be
they're no
decommissioned.
longer functioning, like, who put these in is now, exactly. Like,
I'm real big.
and you wanna go back and try to use that link?
The
I knew I didn't finish the grants. can't look at that.
2% is what they were getting last January.
Not against it. It's another alternative. That's for sure. I don't think that all votes. Sure, New York, I'm pretty sure New York's the same. You can't go below the minimum. Comes in the conservancy.
Greenway along the river street.
I don't think
The Greenway.
the Greenway runs,
expensive. Hoping that Greenway runs there.
You know where it comes through Lester, I'm trying to
I'm
look.
trying to think of where it goes through River Road and Bell North. That was longer.
No.
I don't know if it goes lower. It can go lower.
I don't think it does. I know.
I don't think it
know the
does.
Project does it, but I mean, I wouldn't want it. You know,
Yeah, the project, I don't believe does.
I don't think.
They have one spot where they're close to the greenway where there's a visual impact that I know that they have to get a. Especially this, but it's other variances of some sort.
Six and Craig Road.
Yeah,
Above the rail.
yes,
Okay, I want.
we own that, but not to the east of the railroad.
So that's where it's gonna be started
Right,
there.
Yeah.
The across from the sportsman.
So our role, is to make sure that the towns get paid for this.
Yeah.
And that's where we are with it. I understand both sides. But the purposes of what we bring to the table, it really is about making sure that York and Western and school and share tax revenue.
And there's another.
Yeah, which is stalled a little bit.
we talked about that, but it hasn't come up. yet.
Extension again, so I don't know where it's gonna go, but you're right, it's out.
As long as we have local labor in place before this.
They will be required to fulfill this, yes. I was wondering that though, should we have asked something with local labor so that I can set the draft so that I can make it come in with windows?
Why don't we do this?
Accept it with the
Yeah,
revisions.
Changes that we discussed. We've
Yeah.
done this, this has been a process we've gone through for ages, that we've already discussed the changes we want.
How about to prove it?
With
With the changes
And
that,
then we can just ratify the draft, make sure that includes the changes we have approved.
Lawyer.
Oh, I'm just an interested citizen.
Did you go to that? Did you find it? Okay, I found it. That's good. I like those that have done.
Motion to approve the local labor policy with change.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Motion by Johnson.
Aye.
All right, now let's go down to White Creek. So now that we've got that approved, which is, but I did put it up high, so, let's go to White Creek with the authorizing resolution. Ed, James, anything I've got here that.
What about for the
The authorizing resolution.
yes, I was mentioning the benefits that are being.
I'm sorry, before that.
Oh, that's it.
Statement of compliance. So, I used what we talked about with Horseshoe, for this statement of compliance, so you'll see some board discussion comments in there because they were really general, that I wanted to include. So if there's anything more you want added, I'm happy to add those as well for the purposes of this. So criteria one, pledges to bring good paying jobs to Livingston County. I did put in here that they would be required to abide by the labor policy in anticipation that you got that, so. Have that.
That was the
Completion of the project will enhance the long-term tax base. Cost is about 230 million. The pilot's gonna add 270,000 annually, and then another 405,000 annually to the town. Number three, project will contribute towards creating a livable community. This was a comment that was made at Horseshoe, that it doesn't directly address the power needs of Livingston County, and I did have that in Horseshoe as well. And it does contribute to the overall goals of New York State. I think I've made this comment before that unfortunately, the operator who controls the power grid are pulling natural gas sourced power generation off of the grid after it's over the real on. We're running a shortage, is what I'm saying. So it does kind of help us in that regard. But we'll review the agency's fiscal and economic impact analysis. The project detail exemptions were there. And then the board discussion comment that I put in there was that the jurisdictions are projected to receive well over 17 million over the course of 20. The agency strategic industries is not. It does kind of help out with giving us enough energy to be able to power our needs, but doesn't necessarily address the other target. For 6, reasonable estimated timeline, looking at 26. Any comments that anybody wants to add to any one of those criteria that I'll put on here? That I didn't add from where our discussions have been just solely before. Or any answers that need to change.
I mean, I always get nervous about the livable community because there's no way to prove that the power's even going to New York State, right? And when we ask that, they like say no.
It's going to the grid, which means that when we flip the lights on, we have power. Whether that's somebody in California that's flipping a light switch on and they have power that is generated here, we can never. So I can change that to a no. I'd love to substantiate it some more, just saying that by livable, we would define that as quality of life scenery,
Right.
visible. You know, what am I trying to say?
So what, they try to hide it by trees?
No, I mean, it's a no because. it doesn't
Yeah, to me, that's a no.
Like, look at York. They tried to hide it with trees with the salt, for years it's blowing down there.
Yeah.
They get these wild rose or something like that, rather than pine trees, because they all die.
They die immediately.
But they, by, you know, the one in north of us, or this point, they first refusal on of the sheep and bees and stuff like that. And the fence will go 3 foot down in the dirt. So like coyotes and stuff, they're gonna have to dig down pretty good.
That's cool.
That's what they say.
Right.
I will make an additional comment on there regarding view shed and rural quality of life. Is that kind of capture it? All right.
In that motion,
What's that?
How do we resolve 3?
I put a no,
Okay.
and I added that, I'm going to add that the disruption of the view shed and something on wordsmith with the rural quality of life are affected. Thereby, interrupting the livable community or, yeah, right. I got it. There is no, 3 were yes, 2 were no. It's really more commenting on it.
Yeah.
got that motion to approve the project criteria,
With the change.
With the change. I'll make the motion.
second. All in favor?
Now is the approval resolution. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I'm sorry. So for this one, they are looking for sales tax, mortgage reporting tax, and a pilot. The public hearing was held back in January of this year, and this is also in seeker because this is a section 94C project. It exempt from seeker process, so that was potentially excluded. With regards to the 25-year pilot with deviation for our UTEP, so deviation notices were sent to all respective tax jurisdictions pursuant to UTEP policies. So that was satisfied. And so what we're looking for here, Gary, on a roll call vote would be approval of the financial benefits.
We got that motion? Second,
Second.
All in favor, roll call, vote aye.
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 Okay, next one, the amendment to YTC. So in the process of, work travel center being constructed, they picked up another property right next door. Was it a single wide that was on there, or just a very small house? I think it's a small house, might have been just a small house. The parcel was not initially included in the pilot. It was picked up afterwards, and they have since consolidated it. So what we want to make sure we do is elevate the base of the pilot to include that property. So essentially what we're doing is making sure that that doesn't just vanish in the thin air. That the full market value on that, which is 83,000 and change, I think there's roughly 80,000 bucks, gets included in the base and elevates our pilot by that much so that it's appropriate. That's the resolution.
It's not the trailer?
I don't know.
I thought it was a trailer. I thought it was a single wide. It was right next door.
They keep referring to it as a house, but it could also just be a trailer.
They were gonna tear it down.
83,000?
Well,
That's
if you,
smart
if
enough.
you know that they want it, I'm sure.
Like, what they were gonna do, they were gonna tear it down.
Yeah.
I haven't, you've probably seen the blueprints and stuff, how the sidewalk's gonna come out and go up and along by the.
Well, it's
sewer.
already done. Oh, no, not the sidewalk.
No, no, it's the
Oh,
sidewalk. But now, they were gonna, but now it's gonna have something to do with the.
Yeah, yeah.
Around and out to the, what's that, Spring Street.
Yes.
Like a
And right
Red
now,
Dog Road.
yeah.
So now my understanding is that they need it, and like maybe somebody could do it, be like an office, living.
Oh,
You know, something.
Gotcha. okay.
But for the purposes, it's
It
been
needs to be,
consolidated.
yeah.
Exactly. So
Okay.
if it had remained a separate parcel, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right,
It could be on the tax rolls and doing whatever it's doing.
Yeah.
The fact that they've consolidated it, we need to make sure that we capture that value and include it in our base.
Okay.
So our base just went up by 83,400
Okay.
or something.
I
I think that's it. By full market value.
Take a record vote.
Yes. Not a
Do I need
roll.
to abstain?
Yes, not a roll, is it?
The amendatory resolution, yeah, it should be because it's based off the approving, it's amending the approving resolution, which is a roll call. So,
Then motion made and seconded. I was, I,
Abstain.
Carry.
But you're all done with it, right? No?
I saw trucks there this morning.
We should be all done.
10:31 date of opening.
Yeah.
of the inbox, so.
You know, some GCs, they're just not as good as, Genesee Construction, that's all I can say.
It's time for that advertise.
Yep.
So,
they're talking about the first year.
yeah, when I talked to them in September, I think it was gonna be Halloween. So you're gonna be able to get your hand over there.
Hey, listen, I really don't care.
One of
It's look nice. I mean, it looks nice. I just,
so does Rosie. Across the street.
oh my God.
When you go to Rose.
So that's what I was gonna ask. Where is Rose's parking lot, for heaven's sake? Like, because they built up all in the back. What the heck is in the back? Garage?
A silo bar and stage for live entertainment.
It's 1,000 bushel grain bed.
It's an allocated stuff.
Okay. I'm just waiting to see it all done.
One more item for approval. This was a bit of a shocker, but when we came back from Thanksgiving break, there was an email in Ed's inbox and my inbox that Jennison, the group buying the 5 acres in James Steel Park, pulled their offer. It had expired. We were going to do an extension on it, and they no, we don't want to buy it.
well, they actually sent a title objection letter 2 days
Yeah.
before they pulled it, so.
With questions on oil and gas.
Right, it was like a 5-page letter that they put together and they pulled it, so I don't know.
Regardless, I jumped on the phone to call Place Equipment, who was supposedly on rumor mill buying the property from Jennison. And it took me 15 minutes to get a signed offer from Place Equipment for the 5 acres for the same price. So.
Wait a minute, we hadn't
hadn't
heard from them. We hadn't heard from them in forever.
They were gonna buy it from Jennison. That's what Dave Farrell had told us.
Oh.
And, so when Jennison pulled it, I'm like, well, why did they pull it? Because Place pulled it. So I talked to Place and they're like, oh, same price. I'm like, 100,000. Okay, we take it. Sign it, send it back.
So that parcel sold, we're done.
Parcels under purchase contract. We got the attorney's name as of yesterday. We're doing foot proposal.
Okay.
So we don't have to do it. Just approved and sale for Place Equipment. Same price.
Same, okay.
Same price.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
What would it do to the title objection so it doesn't show up again?
The only thing was, they're all pretty standard, except for there was one oil.
Oil and gas rights.
And they've never, right, they've never come up before.
That's the same look we have. We never saw
Yeah,
that.
I've never seen oil and gas because I think that title.
Right, and that's what we both said.
Yeah, we kind of wondered if it was just, that's,
That's what I'm wondering.
it lost in a couple of days and then it
Right,
expired.
and everything else was pretty standard. Certifications, stuff.
Taxes are paid.
But they spent 5 pages to put it together, where Chip would have called me on the phone.
Same price, just new buyer. And apparently it would have been the same issue or the same use that we would have gotten from Jennison. So we are.
So.
Well, we got the same people coming in there.
Same exact project. We just cut out one of
I wonder
the.
if they did a search in the county clerk's office in Boston. Uses that something.
We've never run into
Or show up on our back title.
Yeah, they should show up in the title that we've done for how many years? What, since 30 years?
Oh, yeah, because that was where back in '89.
And 90.
And we sold tons of property.
I never saw it. Anyway, so I didn't
Make a
even,
motion to change the names of, the buyers of the title of the parcel. We don't, that's just a regular. vote.
Yeah.
Motion. All in favor?
thanks, sure, it might be closed by the time we need it, so.
Yeah.
All works there and it's done and we get the same result. Couple of updates, interstate paving was pushed until, spring. They're working over there as we speak, and it might not be. First, has been working to hook up the sewer. The paving job is actually going to be part of a larger paving job that the town is doing. So I talked to Tom Fry, the highway superintendent, and he is, they're gonna actually be hauling the asphalt for us. So there's a nice kind of symbiotic relationship. They're working with them. Dave did check on it. I think the bid, remember, if you will, the budget that we set for it was 50 grand. Dave came back, said it's gonna be closer to 28, 29 as of a couple of weeks ago. So I can see that maybe being 35, hopefully if things don't come nuts next year, but in any event, that would lead to all of our solutions.
Oh, just.
Yep, well, I asked them if they might kindly, in the spirit of Christmas, just like, they'll take care of that for us. And I haven't seen a reply from Tom. I'll send it again, but they know that they probably, like twice last year. And it needs to be plowed, so, maybe other parts of the sewer. Not sure it's not.
Well, the nice thing, they'll put this on the schedule. So they probably not gonna pay the 50.
Yeah, I probably could have said no to the top coat, but. If you do it, and I would hope that especially to let, they're gonna plow over there anyway.
Now that you got this solar harvest company, over 30 years as well.
What do you do?
There's a lot of hops in there and not automobiles, for the trucks.
All right, so that's interstate. I told you about the once again, not water discussions that we're having. That's obviously something that's very important to us. We want to make sure that they maintain 78 call it 80 employees over there now, so it's a nice little employer that we've got. Not that- Some expansion plans coming in the future that might come along the lines of the bakery of some sort of use the peanut butter in their products, so. Right at my list. Last thing I want to bring you up to speed on, unless you have questions, is Delaware River Solar in Mansfield. This was denied by the ZBA. Extremely frustrating process. It started with the county planning board kind of saying that this was on prime soils, which it is, but it's an industrial park, so it shouldn't necessarily come into play, and it's industrial zone. Those comments were made. The ZBA, unfortunately, they just don't want it. So they chose to, their comments on the record are, it's ugly. It's on the same street as the high school. The bus garage is on the same road. If it catches fire, it's going to emit toxins. It's too close to the airport, which the FAA already had a ruling on that Delaware River Solar was required to provide. So I'm not sure why the ZBA was able to make a comment. It was a poorly run meeting. It was Henry, I'm thinking Henry's last name from Hudson Ross, who represents Delaware River Solar, actually had to correct the ZBA. They started taking action on a variance. Henry's like, we're not asking for a variance here. This is not a variance. This is a special use permit. You're asking the wrong question. You're trying to answer the 5 questions and it has nothing to do with it. It was really embarrassing. From a resident standpoint, from a development standpoint, we were really out of there. They didn't have. But nonetheless, they disproved it. I don't think Delaware River Solar is going to file an Article 78 to chase it. I don't know that it's worth that much to them. Optics of the IBA chasing Article 78 is the dance now. I don't think that looked very good either. So I think it's probably a good project at this point. Very, very discouraging. And the discouraging part was it followed absolutely zero legal process. It was, I go out on the Reagan, it's ugly. I don't want it. It's on a gateway to the community. None of which are legal answers to why you could. I mean, I was sitting there saying, if they talk about this, then it provides a legal ramification, but that to turn it down. Rationale was cool.
And actually look at turning down section 4.
So nonetheless, I've got to figure it out because at this point I need to see if the prime soil argument sets some sort of precedent as to whether what comes next. It's an industrial park. What happens when I have to develop a building?
It's not in the district.
No. Soils was an argument that I wouldn't see holding up. I just want to make sure it doesn't stand a precedent.
They'd have to have some kind of, it's not in the ag district subject to, ag markets. The prime soil, they have to be a local policy. This is
Right.
You can't. Prime soil license. You see that a lot with the solar. Yeah, solar ones. But if they put that in the general zoning. Then
The comments were made county-wise, it's industrial zone, so. But it seems like the local ZBA owner had a lot on what the county was saying in that discussion. And
it's going forward, we have to be limited about that.
that's, I think, where I'm at right now is trying to figure out.
So we own.
Both sides of the road, they're on 63.
It's agricultural, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get out of the property. I sat there in the meeting kind of scratching my head saying, well, why don't I just call the farmer and see if they want to buy it from us?
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
We could.
I feel like we should do that.
Why I don't want to is because I got 200,000 of public money that went into that park for infrastructure work and whatnot.
On that side of the road?
No, on the other side.
Right. Should you just parcel off the one side? Cause like where the community college building is, that actually makes more sense if you wanted to develop that side.
That's
And the
what they're.
railroad's there.
Yeah,
So,
the other side, why wouldn't we just, I mean, it would look weird anyways to have something.
Because it's good developable land is part of the problem, but it seems that
It's not performing for our purposes. No, it's not performing.
if that's the direction you want me to take, I'll call Cory Mark today. Cory, probably take.
that's good. What do you want me to do?
There wasn't any when, you initially purchased the land, any agreement with, the village or anything to. Was there any time, sometimes when these IDAs bought these properties, there was a specific development purpose and I don't know, leaving off part of the.
So-
Covenant.
In 1988, the Dansville Economic Development Corporation, it's just a group of local guys. Organization that bought the property from Village Nursery for the purposes of development that was going to occur in Dansville. This was the next spot.
Okay.
IDA picked it up early 90s, maybe mid-90s, somewhere in there. Pat made it build ready, shovel ready, went through all the certifications. 200,000 was received from the state for the extension of water, sewer, all that stuff. The village annexed the property to bring it in so that
Okay.
the users could be serviced. And that's kind of what you see down there now. It was Genesee Community College that went in. It's now Loyce Hospital. The building next to it, I want to say, was given away. The property was given as an initiative to kind of spark it. Nothing's happened since.
So there's no requirement to give notice to the village before you sell the property.
Not that I can see.
So, did it all from us.
Okay,
Yes, you're right.
so
Board wants me to liquidate it, I'll liquidate it. Or try. Board wants me to keep it for development opportunities, I'll do that too. I'm just scared of what. The community has this in their comprehensive. plan. It was literally ignored by the ZBA.
I mean, they clearly have way beyond the scope of their jurisdiction.
And it's the use, it's sold, they didn't want it. So, you know, if a company with Amazon distribution was coming in and it was gonna employ 1,000 people, I think this thing was on triple shot. But gateway or no gateway, or proximity to the airport or not, so does it still have development possibilities? Yes. Kansas is not exactly the proximity that a lot of these site selectors are looking for. They want Avon first, then they want, you know, Geneseo, then they want Groveland, and then they.
Well, the nice thing, what they would want, Dan's was on the other side.
Actually, you're right. That shows a whole lot better
Right.
than the north.
I don't know what, I guess I agree with Mary Ellen. Get it back on the bags for us.
I can put a call in before and see what he wants to do. You want to, about 45 on that side, Jim, and then another 6. It's not all usable. There's about like 40 acres of usable, there's a flood.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, you want this, so
No, why don't you want to make a couple of calls? If there's anything to approve, I bring it back. I'll tell him that you're entertaining the thought on selling, and if he's got some ideas of price, let's go for it.
that's 75.
I can run. Let's see what he wants to think.
So let's try that, and we were running to a year at a time. Yeah, on one way, but now they have another 75 acres to that. There's-
And yeah, we didn't, so the prison's ready. I asked for the closing documents. Their lawyers were swapping it. Moving through 30, and I went into the energy conversion plant, and we got a bid coming back on a boiler that would basically shut off the steam coming from Groveland. It's a big number that they want. There's a lot of overhead tied into the rate that they're doing this. Some 12 employees that they take to run their boiler system, which I think one, if you were to, so it's an efficient upgrade for us to take on a boiler. I don't know if I contractor Paul, he's a contractor that the county works with for our boiler system. And he said, what happens right now is you have a hot water boiler that converts. It provides steam that goes into a conversion process that provides hot water. He said, cut the conversion process, just provide the hot water and make it more efficient. So we got the plans, he's putting a bit together, I expect that's something next month.
I got thinking about that afterwards, then we can slow. You know, they're not. Turn some of it off, we can have that going. Yes, you know, we just. There could be a big company doing that.
Our prospect is still on the phone with me every Tuesday, so we're not,
So as soon as you get the sign, they're.
he's on flight. Yeah, you want to
We'll
go
be
through it, he
next
wants
month.
to bring the investors with him to go through it, and so we feel very, very much.
Thank you so much about this rollout, that it's really an issue. So.
It actually looks kind of good.
And then you know, the old world's done. If you want to get that, you have to put the numbers. Thousand, it's a bigger than four for money. It's just gonna be. I'll just two chords and chords.
But after trail level comes down, I'm not sure where we're gonna do it. Come down.
I think we got
They're probably always willing, right?
I don't know.
I think it's only $90,000 in work.
No,
Just kidding.
no.
I thought that was a low number for
The whole
I
state.
know that for the whole state, 90,000 very. Because I just read an article. Well,
Would be, I mean,
it's Walmart's article, but they, you know, they have 5,000 stores and they like to make their own stuff.
President was close. So I know the same for just about 3 years. Close. Closer than we've ever been. Yes, that doesn't even clarify. And we could have plans. I took as many plans as built and what I could carry and fit in the car and with more over there. So we've got everything that they need to build it.
And we did learn where the Cancer Creek flows and has flooded. Raised electric up on concrete, we know where that is. And, you know, the county, we can get somebody in the next. Okay, is that it? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Next meeting, January 5th. Second.
second.
Favor. Corporation. It's in a previous